Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Pokemon that benefit from return. Right now this is a part 1 of part 2 if people want to see part 2. Part 1 is looking at the Pokemon that are currently available in Team Rocket reward as part of the Team Rocket Grunt battles. And plus they include Sableye and Shuppet and Banette, which I talked about earlier. So if you want to see part 2, which is looking at all Pokemon and what Pokemon you want to look for in the future, let me know down in the comment section below. But let's go ahead and get started. So let's take a look at the charge move statistics. Return, it's a normal type move, 50 damage, 40 energy, 1.25 DP, mostly for shield baiting and for hitting for neutral damage. It's not a great move. It's similar to Mud Bomb, but normal type is not super effective against anything and is double resisted by Ghost and then single resisted by Rock and Steel. So take that into consideration. Its main appeal is the shield baiting, and we'll see that in like when would it help. I consider it either an upgrade or a side grade. It's an upgrade when it would be the lowest energy move, especially when Pokemon has low bulk or poor energy generation. So the ones that do like Razor Leaf, for example, and then when their next charge move is like significantly more energy, that's when it would typically benefit, and it would usually help it when shields are up. It almost never helps when shields are down. The exception may be like Pokemon that are very glassy and have like high energy charge moves. And that in a lot of situations they wouldn't be able to get off a charge move. So like an example would be like Gardevoir with Charm, which you'll see in a little bit. And side grades are like when you want to hit for neutral damage, like and that's beneficial for a particular cub, where you're up against certain Pokemon, you're completely walled, but having return will allow you to hit for neutral damage and at least allow you to do a little bit of damage against your opponent. It's certainly not very likely to flip a lot of matchups, but it's certainly might be better than what you currently have in your Pokemon. So we're gonna go over the side grades first, and then go over the upgrades. So for the side grades, the first one is Golbat. The reason why Golbat is a side grade is because it already has access to Poison Fang, which is cheaper energy than return. And then as well has a really great nuke move already, Shadow Ball. So it has like pretty good coverage in terms of being able to hit for neutral and to shield bait. And then Wing Attack generates 7 energy per Wing Attack. So it's kind of has that perfect synergy with Poison Fang. And you'll see that in most cases the Poison Fang Shadow Ball, at least in Open Great League, is going to be superior to the other variations using Poison Fang in return and return in Shadow Ball. But there are going to be situations where you want to hit for neutral damage with lower energy rather than going just for the Shadow Ball. An example would be in Twilight if you're in a matchup against, say, for example, Quillfish or Tentacruel, and you want to hit for neutral damage without having to go all the way up to 55 energy for Shadow Ball. So more of a side grade, kind of like niche use. It's going to be pretty rare that you're gonna see it be used in a really meta-defining way, and that's going to be the case for most of these side grades. The next one is Venomoth. Very similar situation. It already has access to Poison Fang for Legacy Venomoth, and that Poison Fang allows it to shield bait pretty effectively. And you'll see that the numbers are better with Poison Fang Silverwind against the open meta for the most part. But the one exception for Venomoth that makes it different than Golbat is the fact that Poison Fang is Legacy. So the best moveset without the Legacy and without return is going to be Confusion, Silverwind, Psychic, which is like a pretty good closing moveset because it allows you to hit Psychic, and Psychic's become a lot better with the recent buff. But when you compare Confusion, Silverwind, Psychic to Confusion, Return, Silverwind, or you could do Psychic as well, but typically you do enough damage with the Confusion whenever you do need it. And then as well, like Silverwind will get Stab and chance for boost and all that stuff. You'll see that Confusion, Return, and Silverwind is an upgrade compared to Confusion, Silverwind, and Psychic. Not in all scenarios, but in general gameplay. And Venomoth is a pretty squishy Pokemon, so typically you want some shields to be able to get off some charge moves. So as an overall, if you had all moves available, it would be a side grade for Venomoth. But if you don't have Legacy, then I would consider it an upgrade because of the ability to bait more effectively. The next one is Gyarados. Gyarados running Waterfall, Crunch, and Outrage, which are all non-Legacy movesets. You'll see that in the one shield, you pick up some wins, but you also lose some wins in 0 shields and then lose 1 win in the 2 shields. And the 2 shields likely doesn't matter as much because Gyarados is pretty squishy, and so it's likely not going to really come into play that you're going to be able to get off like 3 charge moves, for example, like 2 returns and an outrage. And the energy differential between return and crunch is 5, which matters, but not a humongous difference. So definitely more of a side grade than an upgrade. The next one is Dragonair. So I did some various combinations. So look at Dragon Breath, Aqua Tail, Dragon Pulse, Dragon Breath, Aqua Tail, Wrap, which are the 2 standard movesets that you'll see on Dragon Pulse. A lot of people like going for Wrap to be able to hit neutral damage against an opposing Dragonair. A lot of people like Dragon Pulse because it allows it to do like this high damage nuke move, and you'll see it play out in the numbers. You'll see that in the 0 shields with that Dragon Pulse allows it to hit a lot of opponents with strong neutral damage, which allows it to win some matchups. But you'll see in the 1 and 2 shields it's relatively the same because you're mostly dealing your damage with Dragon Breaths and then hitting with Aqua Tails. But when we factor in return, you'll see the numbers are similar when they have Aqua Tail in return compared to Aqua Tail and Wrap. Slightly better for Wrap just because it's more energy efficient, but it is more energy cost to do it. And it's not that much more energy efficient, just a little bit more, but enough like when you play an even energy that in most cases Wrap is going to be preferred. And then when we go return in Dragon Pulse, you're basically replacing the Aqua Tail nuke, Aqua Tail bait, which is cheaper than return, with return for neutral damage, which is why you pick up a few more wins, I guess, that way. I'm not really sure why. And then you'll see that it does poorer in the 1 and 2 shield compared to when you're running Aqua Tail. So take that into consideration. More of a side grade. If you don't want to run Wrap and you want a cheaper energy move, then return is certainly an option. But I would say in the general meta, not an upgrade and definitely a side grade. Another one is Ivysaur. Only looking at it from a Vine Whip perspective, the numbers might play a little differently if you're using Razor Leaf, which might be more favorable for return. But when you look at Vine Whip, Sludge Bomb, Power Whip, you'll see that's overall a pretty good moveset. And that return allows you to pick up a lot of wins in the 2 shields, but certainly with Power Whip and Sludge Bomb, it allows you to have pretty decent coverage. And then with having return with either of those ones, you end up losing a lot of matchups in the 0 shield just because return is not necessarily strong enough. And then the 1 shield, it's pretty similar. It looks like you lose a little bit. And Ivysaur has a little bit of bulk to it, so that kind of makes sense. And now we're going to get into the upgrades, and you'll see that for Gardevoir, you pick up an overall 1% increase, and most of those increases actually occur in the 0 shields, and that's likely the case that you can't get to a Synchronoise or a Shadow Ball. Obviously, you can't get to Shadow Ball if you can't get to a Synchronoise, so return allows it to hit its opponent and finish it off in the 0 shield. So and then in the 1 shield and 2 shields, it's pretty similar numbers. So it's a slight upgrade for Gardevoir in the 0 shields when you are running return. And that's probably one of the most for sure upgrades, in the sense that a lot of these other upgrades are being able to land the return bait, and if you fail the return bait, then it's very costly. So some of these numbers overvalue the ability to bait, While for Gardevoir, it's like a strict upgrade, like being able to hit your opponent with return when you wouldn't be able to do another charge move is advantageous. Another one that has a slight upgrade is Sableye. Again, like bait dependent, but does allow you to pick up a few more wins in the 1 and 2 shields, which overall nets an increase of 1%. But you do give up matchups in the 0 shield, so just take that into consideration, and you have to bait, or basically land the foul play and have them shield the return, in whatever order that occurs. And the next one is Arcanine. Arcanine with Fire Fang, Crunch, and Wild Charge. It's a slight upgrade in terms of the 1 shield, and it's very similar in the 0 and 2 shield matchup, but it does pick up like quite a few more wins in the 1 shield than the other 2. And then as well, like Arcanine doesn't have that many wins in general, so like 20 something wins means much more for Arcanine than it means for Ivysaur or for Sableye. So take that into consideration. The next one is Gloom. Gloom picks up a 3% win increase, and you're basically replacing Moonblast with return, which is like a pretty good return. In the sense that in the 0 shields you pick up some matchups, and the 1 and 2 shields are largely the same, just because Razor Leaf generates energy really low, and then the ability to hit similar to the Gardevoir situation. When you otherwise wouldn't be able to hit a charge move, you can finish off your opponent with a return. And next one is Wartortle, which picks up a 9% increase in wins. And in this case, like you'll see Water Gun, Aqua Jet, Ice Beam compared to Water Gun, Return, Ice Beam. You'll see that in the 1 and 2 shields you pick up quite a few more matchups with Return. And then when you compare Water Gun, Ice Beam, Hydro Pump to Water Gun, Return, Hydro Pump, you'll see you pick up a lot more matchups in the 1 and 2 shields, but you do give up a lot in the 0 shield, since Ice Beam, Hydro Pump gives it like really nice coverage in terms of being able to nuke opponents with either one. And something you might be asking, like, okay, why am I going to worry about Wartortle? Wartortle's like one of the worst, or certainly not a top tier water Pokemon. You don't know in these cups or the rules that you're going to play with whether or not Wartortle is ever going to become meta with whatever rules or restrictions. So that's something you always have to take into consideration. The next one is Crobat. Crobat with Air Slash, Sludge Bomb, and Shadow Ball. And you'll see that it's about a 16% increase in the best case scenario, and you'll see that it picks up quite a few wins in the 1 and 2 shield matchups, which are pretty huge, especially when you looks like when you factor in Sludge Bomb. You do give up a lot in the 0 shield, since Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball are really good nuke move sets. But when you compare this, even with Return, it's still much worse compared to Golbat. 1, Golbat has slightly better stats than Crobat, and then 2, the difference between Air Slash and Wing Attack are quite drastic. I think when I looked this up, if you gave Poison Fang to Crobat, it picks up some wins. When you give it the same stats, for example, with running Air Slash, it picks up some wins, like 10 more wins. But the really big difference is between Air Slash and Wing Attack, and that's just because with the ability to have Shadow Ball, you want to be able to get to those Shadow Balls as soon as possible, especially given that they're not the tankiest Pokemons, and be able to get to those additional charge move really makes a huge difference. So when we take a look at the overall, actually one more, the last one. This last one actually has the biggest win, which is Banette, and Banette picks up a 29% increase. Again, bait dependent, and you'll see Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, Return for Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, Thunder. Picks up relatively the same amount of wins in the 0 shield, because most of the time you're doing Shadow Ball, and then you'll see you pick up a lot more wins in the 1 and 2 shields, which makes it like a pretty big difference in terms of your ability to take advantage of Return. But again, really extremely bait dependent, so that's something that you need to take into consideration. And actually, I forgot one more slide, so I'm just gonna add this in really quickly to the end of this video. It's very okay. All right, and this is an overall summary for it. You'll see the ones, and I basically talked about it in relatively the same order in terms of the upgrades. And really, the first game-changing upgrade is Banette, and that's because its ability to bait, and it's so squishy. It really allows. It has like this really big contrast. Having a good bait and a nuke move and being really attack oriented really favors it. And I think like the other ones are nice to have, but they're going to be extremely situational, unlikely. And some of these, like Gardevoir, for example, because purified Pokemon go to level 25, it's very difficult to get. It's probably the same for some other ones like Crobat, and other ones, probably Arcanine, where it's very difficult to get purified Pokemon under the 1500 limit. So take that into consideration. But really, the one you want to go for, the one that at least impacts the meta somewhat, is going to be Banette. In other cases, like Return is not a great move. Normal is not super effective against anything, and it was resisted by 3 different types. So it's never going to be like one of these moves that are like completely shake up a meta, or like turn it upside down where you necessarily have to have it. At least I'm saying that right now. That I might be wrong, but because of the nature of the move, it has a limited impact on PvP. But for Halloween, the Halloween event, I think this is the first time that you should absolutely do these rocket stops and find the Shuppet and find ones that will go under the 1500 CP limit, just because like it's like right around the limit for when it's level 25. Like about a third of the available Banettes will be under 1500 at level 25. So anyways, if you guys like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next video.